What's up? What's up, everybody? We've got Princeton Malbrue. He wants to be called Prince, though. Prince Malbrue joining us. What's up, Prince? How you doing?
Doing good. How are you?
Doing all right. Doing all right. It's been a long, hot summer. I'm sure it's been kind of brutal for you guys working out the last little bit with Jake Flint, huh?
Yes, sir. We've been getting after it.
What's uh what's this conditioning staff been like? Have they been as effective as would you say like a coaching staff, kind of like a second kind of coaching staff, if you will?
I'd say they've been very, very successful, and they do a lot of things that are like smart, develop based, that are not too much. So like they have catapults that really like track our speed. Track whether whether we're going too hard or whether we're going. We have to turn it up a notch. And so they'll take those measurements, and so they'll apply it into the next training session, and then the training session for next week, whether we have to crank it up or not in weight or in drills or lower it down a little bit.
Ah, well, I mean, they look really top notch to me, and they look like you guys are really developing big time under them. And everybody, if you didn't know, Prince Malbrue, defensive end. I mean, you were born and raised in Lafayette, right?
Yes, sir, that's correct.
I mean, you just joined the Tigers this season, coming over from Northwestern State, uh,
Yes, sir.
and you're going to be wearing number 94, right?
Yes, sir, that's correct.
Uh, with guys like you, Sage Ryan, Fitz West, Jordan Allen, Juwan Johnson, all coming from LCA, Lake Charles. Sorry, Lafayette Christian Academy. Then Kayshawn Booty, Walker Howard, Jack Besh, Malik Neighbors, LT Welch. Then historically, Kevin Trev Falk, Jamie Howard, Early Doucette, so many names. Why is there so much top talent coming from the 337?
Well, it's a lot of culture developed down there. From an early standpoint, from the coaches that set the example coming to LSU. Trev Falk was my head coach, and so his impact, when he came to LSU, he played, All American status, wore the number 7, and continued to, encourage other guys, to follow in that path, to follow in that footsteps, as well as Kevin Falk. He went played at LSU, made a huge impact, played in the NFL. Trev as well. So guys that came before us, they really set the foundation into going to that program and thriving and representing their city as well as representing the state. And so it encouraged a lot of the younger guys, me, myself, and I, Sage, a lot of guys from the 337 area to follow in that same footsteps.
You transferred from Westminster Christian High over to LCA, and with Trev Falk and Jacquard Carter, and
Mhm.
what is making that program a dynasty over the past 5 or 6 years? They've won 4 titles in a row, and then they went to a fifth title game. What you were a part of? What was it? Two title
Yes,
wins in a
sir.
row, right?
Yeah, that's correct.
What's making them a dynasty?
Really like the transition from, we have a lot of experience on our coaching staff. We have a lot of coaches that went on and they played college ball, and a couple of coaches, they played in the league, and coming down and sharing their experience, those direction, those drills, and implementing, a different level of the game into high school ball. And they have a lot of leaders, they have a lot of experience, and they have a lot of knowledge in what they're talking about. And it starts from summer workouts, normal summer training at a different type of level, to camp, and to implementing a lot of college and pro aspects, at an earlier developmental stage for us. And that's what really has developed the culture that we have been having down in LCA.
I mean, you guys are just churning out talent, and winning just everything in sight. I mean, and going from one division up to the next. How would you describe your time playing next to a young Sage Ryan? Right, you played next to Sage, right?
Yes, sir.
And did you play also alongside like Fitz West, Juwan Johnson, and Jordan Allen, or were they too young?
I played with Jordan. Jordan was probably the youngest guy that I played with. I didn't get to play with Juwan.
Okay. Perfect. Well, I mean, we got to talk about this because you were named the 2019 title game MVP. You had 3 sacks, 2 forced fumbles, including a huge strip sack where a huge crucial play inside the red zone, preserving a halftime lead against St. Charles, leading to a huge 41-14 blowout. How did it feel that night?
It felt great. It felt really. I was just trying to like do my job, play my best. Play the hardest for my teammates, and wanted to send the rest of my teammates and the rest of the other seniors in my class on a good note. From our first state championship that I didn't get taken a part of to my junior season, whenever we played Southern Lab semifinal game, that was a big time matchup, and how it meant so much to us to come and play, Ascension Catholic that year and really start off. That was my first state championship, so that was very memorable for me. And to go out and do it again at UL, so basically in my backyard, which it was phenomenal. So the impact that I had on that game, really, it felt very memorable to me, and I was just blessed to be a part of it.
I mean, with your resume at LCA, though, why do you think you were underrated on the recruiting sites and perhaps overlooked by Power 5 schools in the 2020 class, including LSU?
Mhm. Really, I mean, I don't really like get into all that, but I feel like, coming out of high school, I know, I was kind of undersized in my position. I was weighing like 190, but I don't know. I mean, I was just willing to give it all up, and I was just blessed to get the offers that I did coming out of high school and having that ability to play at that D1 collegiate level.
Can you tell us about the decision to go to Northwestern State?
Yes, sir. Coming out of high school, I finished my game. I took an official visit up there, and my coach up there was really, really good, and I like the culture that we developed over there. And when my teammate Zachary Clement, he committed before, and he was already up there. And Logan Gabriel, who was in my class, the running back, he also verbally committed there. So within a standpoint, I felt that it was the right direction at that time to go over there to play alongside my teammates and also have a great relationship with my coach up there.
You guys played 2 seasons in the same year due to the pandemic, right?
Yes, that's correct.
Because I saw it said 2021 spring, 2021 fall. I was like, am I getting something wrong here? How did that feel? Was there an extra kind of toll on you because of that?
I would say so. I say it was quite an adjustment for us because instead of playing like in fall like normal schools, normal football schedule would be, we had to implement a 6-game schedule in the spring, and so the training times was different, and we kind of had to double back even after the spring season and get ready for the fall season as well. So it was a different kind of adjustment, but I mean, I'd say it was worth a while.
Did you guys like practice most of 2021, like in most of the year?
Yes, sir. I'd say so. Well, really, like we kind of like developed like a workout scheme, kind of like during the summer, but it wasn't like nothing like crazy, like a camp back to back, like a camp before the spring, a camp before the fall. But it was a lot of the more developmental work to make sure that our bodies wouldn't get too tired to play in the fall.
Look, that makes sense. Just like a lot of keeping you guys fresh, keeping you guys still active, but not like constantly. We're going to be doing 2-a-days 90% of the year, fellas. This is great. This is the greatest season ever, boys. We got 2 seasons in one.
Yeah.
But at Northwestern State, you majored in biology, and I've heard that you wanted to become a doctor. Is that correct?
Yes, sir, that is correct.
Are those
Specializing in orthopedics.
are those still aspirations for you in life after football?
Yes, sir. Still aspirations.
And what kind of academic studies are you following in and pursuing at LSU to kind of continue that?
Major in biology, but still minoring, PT. Still want to be in that sports category as well, you know.
I understand that. And how would you describe your relationship with the school? Were they ever your favorite LSU growing up?
Yeah, I love LSU. Really, like those who really know me, my most favorite school coming out was Ohio State originally, and then I transitioned to LSU after I seen my first LSU football game. When I was like 8 or 9 years old, and so from that it kind of just catapulted my way towards that university.
Hey, what does LSU mean to you? You think like just as a symbol?
Uh, Really, I mean, it represents home for me. Really, home. A lot of culture over there. Really, the blessing for me to just go an hour away from my hometown and put on purple and gold colors that stand out, and is a big inspiration to a lot of areas outside of the state of Louisiana.
And full disclosure to the fans, Prince, I'm sorry. This is something that we gotta go into. I'm sorry, bro. It's something we gotta give the fans the truth, man. You told me your father is an Alabama fan.
Yeah,
Is this correct?
yeah, this is true. This is true. My dad he's really like, I mean, he's not really a diehard fan, but I'd say he's more of a Nick Saban fan. So
Oh,
whenever Nick Saban was at LSU, he liked LSU at the time. Then when Nick Saban left, he's been a Bama fan ever since. Ever since.
you know what? That makes sense to me with Nick Saban. Cannot 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 I don't understand the people who don't like Nick Saban for what he did for LSU, the way he transformed the culture here. And when he left for the NFL, I didn't know what would happen. Once he came back into college and went to Alabama, I was like, oh crap. I was very worried. It took some time for that dynasty to take place, but bam, after a few, maybe 2-3 years, it got going. Of course, with the first championship against Texas, and they didn't look back here. Saban, I understand that with your father being a Saban loyalist because maybe that's kind of what Kelly's going to try and imitate a little bit with Saban, very kind of process oriented culture. So I understand that. Were you like watching both schools as a fan or as like a family, like watching LSU games and watching Bama games?
Well, really was kind of like, he knew I liked LSU, and he loved Alabama, diehard Alabama. So really, it was like a house divided a lot of times, and a lot of times we would always, you know, get ready for that LSU versus Bama game every single year. So for bragging rights. I remember I could go as back as whenever Julio Jones was playing at Alabama. That's how long it's been. And I remember since, it was always like a bragging right or a competition to see which team was best because, he loved Bama, I love LSU. So it was always a house divided.
I love it. I love it. I can't even imagine how bitter that would get at sometimes, especially with there's times I've been in that position with my family, but with over certain games and certain teams. But I mean, when it comes to LSU Alabama, being from Louisiana, it's a whole different flavor. Um, but you told me your father played a major role in your development. How did he play a role in your development?
Really just continue to support me, continue to make that, that fatherly bond with me at that same time whenever I left Northwestern. but continue to be there, encourage me to he told me that there's always an option to stay back home, and he really implemented. I know LSU is your favorite school, and I know the program is kicking off with a new coach, Coach Kelly, and a very new opportunity in that area. So he really played a big support system in that area.
How did you? I mean, that's just Alabama fan turning defector to bring LSU a defensive end. I love it. I love it. Your father, I think he's secretly a double agent here with LSU.
I think so for sure. I'm definitely converting him over. Definitely.
Well, I mean, will he be wearing your number 94 jersey this season? Your purple and gold?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. He will.
Okay, that's a win already. That's a win already, bro. But I mean, how did you end up wearing that purple and gold number 94 in 2022? You were there in time for spring ball.
Yes, sir.
When did you arrive?
So whenever I left, I entered the transfer portal around October, and I had a few bites, a few schools, Mississippi State, Southeastern, a couple of the local schools, UL, and then LSU called, with my middleman. I had a contact with Coach Cooks and Coach J.R. Belton, and they reached out to join their program, and I just made that connection immediately because, I mean, I felt like at the right time, it was the right time from COVID. I had no years of eligibility counted against me, and I still became a transfer freshman. So at that time, with the new coaching staff coming in, I felt like that was the right opportunity to make that transition.
That makes complete sense, and it's really revealing that it's Kerry Cooks of all people. That's really surprising to me. That was actually asking the next question: who led your recruitment? I mean, I would have thought someone in state from Louisiana would be pushing the most, but Kerry Cooks. How did you come across Kerry Cooks?
Really, I came to contact through Kerry Cooks from my head coach, honestly. So Coach Trev Falk, he played also a big role into that as well. Of course, he played at LSU. Of course, getting coached from an LSU linebacker made it a big impact. So those conversations were always very interesting in that new direction that I wanted to take. Coach Reggie Williams as well played a big factor at LCA. And so making that connection was just a smooth transition.
What's it been like, life as a Tiger so far for you?
I'm loving it. The work ethic is top tier. The coaches and teammates, are welcoming. The bond is together. Everybody is, down to earth. Everybody is very supportive of each other, pushes each other each and every day. And, the program is really held accountable. Everybody is, big statement of this team is accountability. And, Coach Flint, Coach Kelly, all the other coaches, Coach House, they really implement that in our scheme and everything that we do, what time workouts is, wellness check, whatever, meal check, whatever it is, we're all accountable of that. And I feel like this program is really going in the right direction.
Well, what's been the most difficult adjustment for you, though?
I'd say probably like the tempo. Everything's really a lot faster, especially from high school, from FCS ball. So everything, it's a Power 5 program. So everything implemented from, study room into the game speed, hurry up tempo offenses, adjusting to different type of packages. So I feel like that is probably the major adjustment that I would have to make.
How were spring practices for you in your development on the team, you think?
I feel like spring practices was really good in that developmental stage. Get to see a lot of the older guys come in and, show their skills and learn a lot from them, learn a lot from the coaches. Coach House coming in from Kansas City and, sharing his expertise and experience and getting coached under Coach Kane and Coach Buller. So a lot of it was a very important learning and developmental stage for me.
playing this jack linebacker role. In your view, who else is playing there next to competing for the starting jobs? Like how many guys are in that room? Is that Ojulari,
Yes, sir.
Guy, Savion, Xavier Carter? Who else?
Desmond Little as well. Desmond Little in that bunch. So about 4 or 5 guys competing for that spot.
And you've told me a few things about this and about your role, being carved out as one of the jack linebackers as well. How will defensive coordinator Matt House be using these jack linebackers to benefit the defensive scheme?
In many different ways. He's been very creative, with the playbook, implementing pass rush, but as well as the coverage aspect, of the hybrid linebacker. So he's gonna it's gonna be a lot of fun during the fall. He's gonna mix it up. We're just gonna have some fun.
Is this like an every down scheme?
We have different areas, different packages whenever the jack is gonna be implemented into the scheme.
And you're just going to be having those three interior DTs, two flanking, or is it going to be two interior, two flanking, and then a mixture of
Two and two
different
flank.
numbers?
Yes,
Because
sir.
you can do a lot of different things, adding linebackers, subtracting number of linebackers, moving in with the nickel. Is Matt House an effective defensive coordinator thus far in your view?
Very effective. His experience of sharing from the league and bringing that, implementing that the game, the speed, the different stunts, the different techniques that he has coached and implemented in his defense has been very effective. I feel like it's been a very blessed experience to learn from him and learn from his staff and practice those techniques to perfection.
That's exactly what I was going to ask next, my man. Jamar Kane, this 2022 D line looks awfully damn good, man.
Yeah.
What is possible from this D line unit this fall?
Really, I feel like our D line is really going to be the heart of the defense at this point. I feel like we have so much talent across the board. The interior guys, outerior guys, we have a lot of speed, a lot of power. So I feel like the front will make something special come there in the fall.
How has Jamar Kane developed your game individually, personally?
Personally, just techniques that he shows us, from him coming from Oklahoma, all the experience that he has with him, the drills that he implements in us, the effort, whether to run, whether to use our hands in the right direction. And so different types of techniques that he has coached us and coached us hard in those areas have really pushed us to a different level.
Who is the D lineman you feel that's really under the radar thus far this season?
I feel really like Savion Jones. I feel like Savion Jones is going to come in and make a big impact in that defense. We have a couple of great transfers that came in. Makai Wingo that came in from Missouri. I feel like he's going to come in and make a big impact, as well as Xavier Carter coming in at the jack position. BJ Ojulari also, All-American come in. So we have a lot of guys that are going to make a statement this year.
I'm hearing you just rattle off these names on that D line. I just feel like, does this sound like the SEC's most talented D line to you? I mean, just not even looking at it from a pro LSU, just a very unbiased looking at just the talent around the SEC. I just feel like LSU have the most stacked defensive line. Do you feel that?
I feel the same way. I feel the same.
I mean, bro, it's just one name after another, including yours, and that's another thing. Is how many more years of eligibility you have left? You said that you're basically a freshman.
Yes, sir. That didn't kind of get me, so I still have 4.
Wow, and you entered the portal, right? You entered the transfer portal to get to LSU, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. As someone who lived through that process, the transfer portal process, and now seeing LSU bring in a lot of guys that you just mentioned, Makai Wingo coming in through the portal. and then losing a few too. Joseph Evans, number 94, the owner of your old jersey number. Do you feel the transfer portal is helping or hurting college football?
I feel like the transfer portal is basically a new opportunity for a lot of guys, coming in a different situation, whatever the situation may be, and giving them another opportunity, to go to a new program and to development their skills and they're better. Now, they've implemented NIL and they've played NIL a big, important role into the transfer portal, deals and contracts, all that types of thing. So I feel like this is a very new opportunity for a lot of players, to come in just to whatever program that they're going into to develop their skills, whether it's better or worse. But I feel like it's a new opportunity for a lot of college players.
Yeah, it leaves it up to personal choice.
Mm-hmm.
It, where do you feel you can help LSU's defense the most this season?
Really anywhere I can, learning, whether that is, coming in and playing, whether that is special teams, whatever position that they need me at, I want to contribute to this team in a very efficient way and to help any way I can and just do my job whenever the time comes.
Obviously, outside of head coach Brian Kelly, which LSU coaching staff member do you feel, just either phase, defense, offense, special teams, which coach do you feel or assistant has had the most impact on the team overall?
Really, I feel like Coach House. Coach House is coming in and implementing, grit, implementing, a lot of effort, a lot of passion into the team, a lot of hunger, keep us motivated all the time. The expectations are, through the roof. And, he knows that we can match those expectations. So I feel like he's brought in a lot of energy, a lot of enthusiasm, a lot of charisma into this program. And, we very appreciate to have him.
I love those words. Hearing charisma. I mean, that's a word I haven't really heard thrown around so much about Matt House. But hearing that, I love to hear that. Prince, how are things going right now heading into fall camp?
I think things are going well. We're continuing to finish off, these last 2 weeks of summer training, in a good note. And they're gonna give us like 2 weeks off. So I feel like mentally the preparation is starting to take place, implementing in, our meetings and different things that we are doing, on and off the field, as well. So I feel like having that mental aspect playing in that role, having that downtime of physicality, when we turn in that physicality back up in fall camp, I feel like we'll bring along the mental aspect of the game as well.
It seems to be a lot of focus with Brian Kelly on efficient time usage, getting a lot of work done in a small amount of time, things of that nature. Has that been an effective thing that you've seen, something that they've been using in the process?
Yeah, I really feel like they, implemented a lot of the smart based ideas. They track our sleeps. They track, what time we can get up. What time we're supposed to be done with our workouts. As I said before, the 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 capacity, of our workout training. Whether to turn it up or dumb it down. And they implement that in our practices as well. How many periods that we have, whether we're going to go too much or, we have to bring it down from 21 periods to 18 periods. However, whether we need to have full pads this day, shells this day, and communicating that is also in our treatment staff. Our nutritionist, Dr. Franks, has also played a big role into that as well. Making sure we get the right, intake in our body, make sure, so all around, I really feel like that mental aspect into that football in the program has been very efficient for us. I feel like this is going into a very positive direction for our program.
Where do you think Brian Kelly is taking this program, Prince?
Hopefully, a national championship. That's our goal. SEC championship, national championship. I feel like Brian Kelly has been transitioning this team, this program in the right direction. Also with the staff that he has brought, the different players that he has brought and implemented into our program, I feel like it's going in a very positive direction.
And speaking for your game individually, this season, how do you think you can elevate yourself over others, climb the roster, climb the depth chart, and get on the field in 2022? How do you think you can do that? Elevate yourself.
Really just buy in, really just do whatever it takes that, the coaches, and the staff ask of me, and give it my best effort, perform it to perfection, dial in, lock in, and do everything, whether it's big or small, whether, showing up for meetings, showing up for workouts, running hard on tempos, whatever it takes, whatever they ask me to do, do it to my best of my ability, and just enjoy the process, have fun. I'm blessed enough to be here, blessed enough to play for my state, and, just give them all, do whatever they tell me to do.
Man, I am so grateful for your time, for you to share some of your personality, some of your hunger, your enthusiasm, your love for LSU with us. And man, you have a wonderful rest of your Saturday night. And let's talk about doing this again sometime.
Yes, sir. Thank you for having me.
Take it easy, Prince. Have a good Saturday night.
Yes, sir.
Prince Malbrue. It looked like maybe there was maybe he had me on some type of audio thing. You could hear me kind of repeating back a little roughly there audio wise. I don't know if that was from us or whatever was going on, but apologies if that affected. It didn't really seem to affect much except for just my concentration on things at times. But what an enlightening, unbelievable interview with Prince Malbrue, LSU defensive end / offensive linebacker, I guess you can say, Jack linebacker. He came here from Northwestern State University, in-state school, and he seemed to really have a good impact. He made some interesting comments. He said Matt House was the most impactful coach overall on the team outside of Brian Kelly. And then he also said that Savion Jones was the defensive lineman that people aren't talking enough about, who's going to really have a good season in 2022. And had some really positive things to say about his teammates and about a lot of other aspects of LSU and the Brian Kelly staff. Some things we haven't heard before, not just the typical the stuff. You did hear the word accountability again, but you also heard some really interesting anecdotes there from Prince, and love to talk to him again, have him on. Everybody have an awesome Saturday night. LSU just cannot stop recruiting. Whit Weeks coming, committing today. Whit Weeks committing, joining his brother West with LSU. Both Weeks brothers are here, and we could have had both Johnson brothers here from the same high school, Oconee High. Would have been pretty crazy. But yeah, everybody, we had Prince Malbrue join us for a good 30 plus minutes. Epic conversation. Hopefully we can do it again. Everybody, take it easy. This is a very smart young man. 3.77 GPA at Northwestern State University. Was pursuing biology and being a doctor. He's also doing the same at LSU, and I'm sure is probably on the honor roll and stuff like that. This is a very high IQ young man, and he seems to be bringing that to the football field as well. And can't help but root for him to have a hell of a 2022 season, and cannot wait to see his father wearing LSU colors, his Alabama fan father. Gonna be hilarious. And take it easy, everybody. Great time with Prince.